If you're interested in how highly successful investors overcome limitations and become unstoppable forces of success, you're in the right place. The Conscious Investor Podcast features weekly conversations with real estate investing experts and delivers a Monday Mindset episode to help launch your week with intention. If you believe success is for everyone willing to think, then do, these conversations will be your weekly rocket fuel. Conscious investors, welcome back. I am so stoked, and I'm going to say stoked because we were just talking about mountain biking and really funny things. So I just want to invite and say welcome, Sam, to the Conscious Investor.
Julie, thank you for having me. The pleasure is mine.
So we're just joking around about some Saturday Night Live sketches and just laughing our heads off because there's some good writing still taking place these days, which I thought it died back, at the peak in the 90s because everything was cool when I was like, in high school, college. Now.
Right. No, absolutely. Yeah, it is funny. I mean, I don't watch a lot of it, but there are still some really funny episodes on there that still really good writing once in a while, so it's fun to see.
Occasionally. That's what the little SNL shorts are for. Just skip to the funny parts. Just give me the fun.
That's right.
Oh my gosh. Well, speaking of fun, why don't you tell us, I don't typically do this, but I think that it'd be really great. Like, why don't you just tell us a little bit about what you've done with, your investing. Give us a little runway here, and then I'm going to jump in and just be throwing so many cool questions your way.
All right. Sounds like a winner. Let's see. I've invested in everything. I feel like everything short of industrial and office, and that both on the active side and on the passive side. So it's been fun. I started like most people do in single family because it seemed like the lowest barrier to entry. That would have been in 2013. My first house purchase was on the courthouse steps at a foreclosure auction. Figured out we could make a bunch of money doing that. And so I did that for 5 years, and we bought tons of houses all over Tennessee, and then got really tired. And in 2017, 18, there was rumblings of, gosh, is there a correction? Is there this and that? Which I still think we should have had a correction if, we'd let the market just do what the market should have done.
Agreed.
But either way, that did not happen, which I am not in control. I am not God.
They didn't listen to us. Why didn't they come to us for advice? I mean, geez.
Right? I don't know. But it didn't happen. And it was not a scalable, repeatable model. At least it wasn't for me. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, and I couldn't figure out how to get people. I couldn't figure out how to work myself out of a job by replacing what I did with other people. I tried it a few times, and I always ended up with bad projects, delayed projects, stuff that it just was bad. And so I said, man, bag that. I got to find my next asset class. Went to commercial, found a guy in the parking business, and we started buying parking assets, and that was fun until COVID. And then parking just got hammered, which, was okay. We came out of that smelling like a rose because we had sold just before March of 2020.
Oh my God.
So yeah, good timing. And we had also stayed out of, there was some deals we had about $10 million in parking lots we were going to buy. And I don't know why, my gut just wasn't right on it. I was like, these pencil, I just didn't like them. I was like, why do I not want to invest in this? I couldn't figure it out, which if you're listening and you're a passive investor, if you don't like something, just walk. There's always more deals.
Right.
I think that's the thing that I've gotten more comfortable with over the years. I didn't invest in that, because all my investors are lined up and ready to roll. They're like, sure, man, if you're going, we're going. Let's do it. Yeah. And I walked. I said, guys, we're not buying this. Sorry, we're moving on. Anyway, that obviously did not perform as projected. I'm not even sure if it still is now. So, we avoided that. And I didn't own any parking assets. And then March of 2020 happened. So I floundered for the rest of 2020 is the short answer. I didn't know what to get into. I didn't know what to do next. I didn't know where the world was going, and so I didn't buy anything or do anything again. My next deal wasn't until March of 21. So that, which is fine. I've got my hands in some other business stuff. So, I mean, there's still income coming in. We're still well provided for. And I just didn't do anything in the commercial real estate space. But then we bought 2 multifamily projects last year, built a boat and RV storage facility, and did a large fund of funds inside of another storage syndication. That was fun. And now we're going long because of the boat and RV storage facility, going long in the RV park and RV and boat storage space. That's it. That's all I'm focusing on. And we've got 3 parks under contract right now.
So many cool questions. So we're going to go down some rabbit holes because when you and I met, you were coming off of, it was still the beginning-ish of the pandemic. You were still thinking along the lines of, parking.
Okay.
I remember thinking, oh my gosh, you really can invest in anything. And ever since then, anytime I see parking garage and such, hence I was like, it even came up. We were in Seattle this weekend. And so, going through parking garage was like, oh my gosh, just a blank piece of cement. And they're going to charge us $30, to park here for the next 4 hours, it's incredibly lucrative. So can you just walk us through? I've never had anybody on the podcast walk us through even what like the parking space looks like and why it might be questionable moving forward. I don't know what that looks like. So I wouldn't
say it's questionable moving forward. There are still good assets out there to buy, but for us, especially once COVID happened, the sellers still wanted the same prices, but of course, Countrywide NOI had just fallen off a cliff. And so you could no longer finance these because what bank is underwriting? Oh, hey, we're not even covering taxes anymore. Like, yeah, you might have a projected future value if things return, but we can't buy, because you can't get financing on it. And the numbers just didn't make sense and nothing penciled out. That's coming back in select markets, but it is very, very, very targeted. Not just in select markets, it's targeted street corner by street corner. Wherever you were paying $30 to park, it is laser focused. I got a deal, right? I put a video on YouTube for this, which is funny. I forgot about the YouTube channel until somehow or another I logged into an old email and there's 2,000 comments on this one video. I'm like, oh, sorry. I went through and we started commenting back on it because it was 2 lots here in Memphis. One was 200 yards away from the other. One, I would not give the sellers $15,000 for it. They were begging me to take it off their hands. The guy 200 yards away, I offered him $1.2 million for it. Literally both just flat surface lots. It's that much disparity in how people find and park in your parking lot. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what was it about that? Was it like the entrance and the egress? Like why would you pay?
One was just on the main drag and one was off the main drag just a hair, and the one on the main drag was chock full of cars all day long. The one off the main drag, 200 yards either way, you couldn't even see it. So nobody was parking there. It was like, this is why parking is so laser focused. That said, opportunity exists, but it once I guess kind of turned left out of it, I just hadn't kind of recovered the desire to go into it. The other thing was that cap rates had compressed, especially on raw land. A lot of your big money in a surface parking lot would be made on, it's basically what they call a covered land play. You're going to collect the cash flow to pay off, make some money on it while you hold it, but then hold it for redevelopment or sell it off for redevelopment. And so people had kind of gotten wise to that, and a lot of the low-hanging fruit had left the market. And at this point, people were selling mostly for redevelopment prices, which made parking as a business play just no longer work.
Interesting. Really interesting. Okay, I just want to continue down the rabbit hole again because this is so interesting. So with the parking, monetarily speaking, it is a business. People are coming in. Are there certain setups that are better than others? So for example, in Denver a few months ago, and then in Seattle, they had the little kiosk. You go put your license plate number in and, pay that direction versus I remember as a kid in San Francisco, folding up very carefully, bills and sliding them into this slot and all of that. So there's obviously been a progression in how money is collected from, the customers and everything. How does this, just walk me through the behind the scenes? I feel like I need the factory tour of what are you looking for in a parking lot besides location, and what does that look like on the business side?
It is location. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for why do people want to park here and what are they willing to pay? I mean, you answer those two things and you probably have a decent or a terrible parking lot. The business behind it is you get an operator. You get somebody, a local operator or a national operator, much like you get property management in third-party property management and multifamily, same idea, that will come in, operate the lot. They'll put in the kiosk. They will take care of towing. They'll take care of booting cars that don't pay. They do they maintain it. They keep the they resurface it and stripe the lines and do all that stuff. And so that's really, it's a pretty hands-off business. Once you buy the lot, then you turn it over to an operator, especially a surface lot. My joke was always like, what's it going to do? Flood? Like,
right.
I'll just wait till the water goes down. Like, it's asphalt. So
yeah,
not much risk. Your insurance was incredibly inexpensive on those. So yeah, that was the cool thing about it. It's a very simple business once the asset's acquired. It's finding the asset that makes sense. That was where all the work came in.
That's really interesting. And it's almost like once you have it acquired, it sounds very much like passive investing, even, on the GP side. If you're
it is, truly is, because you get an ACH in your account once a month and no one called you. What are they going to call you about? Hey, we have cars that park in the parking lot. Okay, good news. Thanks. See ya. Leave me alone.
Thanks for letting me know. Just
right now, of course, a garage has a lot more moving pieces to it, right? Like a parking garage. Then you've got a lot more, potential CapEx. Then you've got people hitting corners. Then you got a lot of moving parts. You got elevators to take care of. You got permits to pull on that. You got stairwells to keep clean. Homeless people to keep out of there. All sorts of nonsense that can go on in a parking garage. That's a different animal. But that's
flat lots. It is. I am sold out if I ever go down
surface lots all day.
Yep. Okay. Final question on this. I promise, because I want to get into the other stuff. Sure. How long do we have? When we park our car in a parking lot, I know if I were listening to this podcast and this was a conversation, guarantee everybody's like, how long do we have before they boot us or call us to be towed? Our performance went an hour over and our, time was supposed to run out. Like, how long do you were kind of removed from the operations side of things, but if someone's going to get towed or booted, is there you've been here overnight, or?
It's completely up to the tow truck guys.
Okay.
they're gonna be the ones that are probably subcontracted by the operator to go check the lots. And for them, the more of you that don't pay, the more boots they get to put on, the more they get paid to take the boots off. So if it's a busy night and they're like, oh, hey, man, the convention center's packed, we know the lot's going to be full, they're going to be checking. But if it's a random Tuesday night and nothing is going on downtown, it's like, you probably have a little bit more time. So I don't know how long you have. Yeah.
That's really interesting, but we do know the ulterior motives, behind what's going to drive that. So.
Right. Yes. They want to get paid. So yeah.
We all want to get paid. You want to get paid with RVs.
This is right.
So here you are, you build some storage and all of that. You're like, oh, wait, you know what? We'll build storage and now we're going to go invest in RV parks.
Yep.
So tell us about the story
Yeah, so we did all our research last year, and because we were building this boat and RV storage facility and digging into that, suddenly it was like, wait, no one's talking about this, at least not as much as a lot of other asset classes. And there are massive tailwinds in the industry. Massive tailwinds for the RV industry. So we had something like a 12 or 15% increase in deliveries in 2020. We had a 43% increase in deliveries of new RVs in 2021. And so we went from like 350,000 to 600,000 new deliveries in 21. We're already on track for 600,000 in 2022. Unbelievable new deliveries. And 60% of RV owners currently, this is a study that just came out, I just read actually not 5 minutes before we jumped in this call, intend on upgrading to a nicer, bigger RV. And it's like, oh, this is madness. The other cool thing we've seen in the industry is a shift in ownership. So it used to be your grandparents on a national park tour going around the country. Oh, isn't this fun? No, it's millennials with kids is the largest RV group or RV ownership group now. That means we have
That's amazing.
Amazing. And that means we have, for me, at least a 10-year forecast of potential demand. Obviously, there's no guarantee. I mean, the world can turn upside down and
It's
everybody.
never done that before. Come on.
No.
No. What are you talking about? Are you enjoying this episode? Do the world a favor and help trip the algorithm by leaving a review so that this content reaches many others. And now back to the show.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, so those are just a few of the preliminary, like, oh, wait, there's a lot of really cool things going on here that we want to get in front of. Cap rates are a lot higher. They're trading at a lot higher rate than what you are even on mobile home parks. Now, granted, there's reasons behind that. It is an operating business. It is operationally complex. So naturally, it's going to not trade as as low of a cap rate as, say, you would in a mobile home park. But
I got to interrupt. Sorry. It's more complex?
Oh gosh, yes. Absolutely. I mean, because you've got short-term weekend people traveling, hey, we're going to come in for the weekend and stay, but we've never stayed here before. We booked on, I've done it plenty. I'm an RV owner. Hey, I'm traveling in the middle of Colorado. Where are we staying tonight? I don't know. Cool. Here's a spot. It's $70, stay the night. Great. Whatever. They've got the right hookups. We're coming in. So, right. But you show up at 8:00 at night. Well, who's going to tell you where your site is? Oh, because you're cruising around the RV park trying to find your site, and you've honked everybody off that's there. No, there's going to be a guy that's like, hey, dingus, your site's over there. That's another person, probably somebody that lives on site, that's got to make sure that you're getting in there. Mobile home park, you don't have that. Also, I mean, you've got a front, usually you got a front, you got a store, we're buying a facility right now that has like 5 businesses in one. It is an RV park. It is a marina. It is a restaurant. It is a fishing guide service. There is boat storage. There is a 40-room motel. There's another 32 short-term rentals on site. I mean, it's like, wow. That's a lot of moving parts. That's a lot of staff.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know that when people hear RV park, I think most people think, cool, it's a parking. You do like parking lots. You just stepped up your parking lot. That's all. Come on.
Never thought about that. That's fair. This is just a grown-up parking lot. You're absolutely right.
It is. Well, I think about it. We have a KOA. It's a resort, KOA resort that we have enjoyed staying at outside Glacier National Park.
Yep.
And we'll like walk around and look at the big fancy RVs. Meanwhile, we're tent campers still. Someday we'll cross over, but right now the kids really like tent camping.
Sure.
But I mean, now that you mentioned that makes sense. When we pull in, there is somebody there, even for us to direct us to that. There is the little store. They've got the swimming pool. They do have a small restaurant wow.
Yeah. A lot of moving parts, and people don't think about that. But for us, we are not buying the roadside RV park. A couple of reasons for that. I don't want to own something, you're not traveling across Kansas and buying the pull-off park off the interstate. Like, that's not what we want. We want the resort, like you're mentioning. I want a destination. 2 reasons. One is because of gas prices. If families have RVs, they're probably not driving 18 hours across the country at $6 a gallon. They're gonna curtail their travel. So that is a headwind in the space, because these things do like to drink fuel. So with that, we're trying to buy stuff within a couple hours of a major city, a destination where they can come, park it, stay for the weekend. They can, have all their fun, get their kids out, let them play, and then not have to leave until they go home. So, and that also keeps them obviously inside the loop of all the things going on at the resort, or just obviously increased or adds the number of ways that we can increase revenue as well.
That's incredible. Okay. So let me ask you this. I'm currently working on new development in North Carolina, Class A. It's fantastic, and I love that, but we're building below, like we can go and buy something and do a light value add, but we can build this for less.
Right.
Is there something similar? Have you looked into developing RV parks?
Absolutely. Yes, because the old metric, and again, you have to forgive me because I don't have the exact stats on this. I'm slightly making this up, but the numbers are close. Okay. This will paint the picture if you can squint a little bit and don't mind a little blur. The idea used to be that there was like 2 RVs for every available RV park site in the United States, right?
Okay.
That was maybe 2019 stat. Well, now with all these just influx of enormous growth of RV deliveries, we're nowhere near that number. It's something like maybe 3.5 or 4 or even 5 RVs for every RV park site in the country. Way underbuilt. I mean, underbuilt. Obviously, it's not a must-have product, so I can't say it's way underbuilt. But it's certainly the demand is there and the product is not. So that said, yeah, absolutely looking to go do development. It's not something because this is a newer asset class to us. We are going to buy maybe 10 or 12 parks this year in the $4 to $7 million range. And then once we really get our head and hands kind of wrapped around this, the functioning of it, yeah, I would love to go out and do new development. I think that'd be a hoot, but it's not something we're tackling right now.
I appreciate that approach so much. And all of my listeners, you understand why, because it's what I call a responsible approach. It's like, okay, let's not just jump into something that we like, okay, let's baby step, let's understand this, because we have our investors, they're entrusting us with their funds and to grow their investment portfolio. And so I want to like super high five you on that approach.
Yeah.
Some people you and I both see it. A lot of people are just jumping into things. They're jumping into funds. They're jumping into this. They think that's sexy over there and it's quick money, and they have a Superman complex that they can do anything.
Right.
And it's like, that's not your money to be playing with. Like, you have a fiduciary responsibility to your silent partners to make sure that you are executing and that you have the skill set or the partnerships to execute on something.
Right. Yep, that's absolutely right. And that's one of the other things I've done in this is going out and found a couple of partners who are ahead of me in the game and said, "Hey guys, and I'm going out, I'll be a majority owner on some of these parks. Obviously, I just got one under contract Saturday. I mean, it's like, okay, but even so, I'm bringing them in and saying, "Hey, I'm going to give you a slice of this deal." Probably more than I should, but to where I can say, you guys are going to help me take this thing down, because I just need somebody that's already been there and done that on my team.
I feel like that for me is part of the checks and balance also for my investors. Like, here's a safeguard for you. Like, that if I'm going to invest in something, I need to know that the team is set and that they know what they're doing, or they have, just hands down done. So you've lost money. I've lost money. I lost money on some e-com. That was like the worst investment ever. It was not passive investing, and it was extremely stressful. I'm like, oh man, I'm bummed. I'm glad I tried it. I'll never do it again. It was my money though.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, I'm glad. I told some people that were watching me, I said, listen, let me be proof of concept first. Don't do this until I've like actually proven that this actually works. And now I can safely say, I think it's for some people. Some people are very successful with that, but I'm not going to recommend it. So we were talking off air about, times we've lost money and and what that feels like, and the lessons that you learn from that. Like, those are invaluable lessons, by the way.
Yeah.
I liked my seminar. It was painful, but it was very worthwhile. And it also, just not to drag it out, but it also really primed me for how passive investors feel. I have passively invested. That was supposed to be a passive investment. And, it was just a really interesting experience to have a partnership go sideways and just be like, oh, that really hurts. Big time. I never want my investors to feel like that.
Oh, goodness, no.
Yeah.
No, losing money is never fun. It's never fun. You learn a lot of things along the way. And I think the only times I've ever lost money was probably when I just didn't slow down enough and do my due diligence the right. I'm a deal junkie. Self-professed. I know it's a problem. I'm a deal junkie. I love getting deals done. But with that, obviously, hopefully a little bit of age and some painful reminders of getting deals done isn't nearly as important as making money on the deals you get done. And again, I've never lost investors' money. I've lost plenty of my own in a variety of things, everything from real estate to trading commodities to stock market, you name it. I've lost it. But that, I think that's probably when I've made my mistakes, is when it's like, oh yeah, man, let's do this. We can make that happen. Sure, go. Go. No, don't go. Slow down. Slow down. It's okay.
Would
It's
you
not
say
hard.
that's what maybe was that gut check that you had on that parking lot, the 10 million one that we were talking about when we very first started? Do you think
I
that
think that was
somehow that
definitely,
was like intuition?
I think that was just the good Lord watching over an idiot. Like, all right, this one's not for you, dude. Like, just don't do it. I mean, there was no signs whatsoever. It was, I can't, that one I cannot
Okay.
bite off to a deal that I was just trying to get done. It was really just, I felt sick about it and I couldn't define why. And that's the other thing I've learned is that there is that intuition, that gut check where it's just like, if your gut says no, I've learned to listen to that. That's something that I probably in the past didn't pay as much attention to. And now it's like, ooh, if I don't feel good about it, I'm out. If I meet you and I don't feel good about you, I'm probably not going to talk to you again. It's like, nah, I gotta go. I don't know why, but I gotta go. So just life. Yeah.
That's funny. But my husband's like that. He could not talk to somebody again. And I'm like, I just don't know. I could, and I kind of, as we, you spend enough time together, we've been together for nearly 20 years. So it's like starting to rub off on me. I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Get it.
At least
Yeah.
I'm at the point where I'm like, yeah, I get it now.
There are your senses can pick up things oftentimes that maybe the primary mind paying attention cannot. So yeah, learning to listen to it.
All right. When you say that, like, what would you say? I'm just thinking about people listening and that level of intuition in their investing practices. So, like, check number one would be like, hey, if it just doesn't sit right, like anything feels off, just don't. How do you even verify if it's just cold feet? I mean, hey, everybody gets cold feet from time to time. So, like, what's the difference between cold feet and heebie jeebies, for lack of a
Yeah,
better? Really
I don't know.
classing this up with the vocabulary here.
No, no, I have no idea. That's an excellent question and not one I can directly answer. I think one there's intimidation, and then the other there is for me just a sense of, honestly, it's just a sense of nausea. It's like I do not, everything feels wrong about this and I am not at peace, right? Like
Yep.
there's just no
Yep.
peace in my mind, no peace in my heart. It's just I'm anxious about it. And if I'm anxious about it, I probably don't belong in it. I mean, obviously we can do all the research we can do. Everybody says it in the industry. It's cliche. Invest with who you know, like, and trust. And I think that's the best place to start is obviously investing with people you know, like, and trust. I always say, of course, and this is borrowed than somebody else as well, but bet on the jockey, not the horse.
Definitely.
And that's the way I go about it. And I think once you get to know the operators and get to know who you're investing with, maybe that some of that peace will come. But also just take your time. I mean, that's the other thing is like that's something that's been a revelation for me is just like because again I'm a deal junkie. There's always good deals. There's that
Yep.
fear. I think there's that fear.
FOMO.
Yeah, man. Like, oh, I'm gonna miss out. It's not. No, this will be the last good deal in the world. Like, no, no. There's gonna be more good deals. This is not the only deal. This is not just if this isn't for you. And I tell investors that all the time. This isn't for you. That's fine. Like, it doesn't hurt my feelings. I'd rather you not get in the deal now because you don't feel like it's for you than get in the deal and find out in a year that you're like, oh man, even if it's making money, that you'd rather invest in something else. Like, don't get in. Get in if it's for you, and if not, hey, no worries. It's great talking to you. So that's kind of how I approach it.
What, on that note, there have been so many times, and some of my listeners who've invested with me will attest to this. And I know because they have the means to invest more, but it's their first investment. It
Yep.
might be the first investment in the apartment space. It might be their like first investment with me. It's like, just go in low.
Yeah.
Just go in with the minimum. I'm
Right.
not going to be hurt. I'm in this for the long haul. I'm not in this to like try to capture all your money. Like, let's look at this, and I'm comfortable. This is going to be a long-term relationship. So, put in their minimum and enjoy it, experience it, see how it works, and then go from there.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. And that's what I would generally recommend to most people. If it's a brand new operator and it's not a warm introduction, like if you got all your buddies that have been in it and they've been in it for 10 years and they love I mean, that goes a long way. But if you're just getting to know a sponsor, I do. I'm a passive investor in a lot of deals, and there are I'm sitting on some capital right now that I'm thinking about deploying in certain things, and it's like, a deal came to me yesterday, but it's somebody I've known for several years, but I've not yet invested with them. It's like, oh, this is really intriguing. Okay, well, now I'm finally ready to invest. So
Right.
it takes time. It certainly takes time, and yeah, I mean, most of the time I would, and even on that deal, I'll probably still put the minimum in, but
Yeah.
that's part of it.
Yeah, it is 1,000,000%. I love it. Sam, I could talk forever. Two podcasters, which is a great segue to say, hey, tell us about your podcast. Tell us where everyone where to find you, because if you've been listening, you're like, Sam is level-headed. He's, I like how he's thinking about these RV parks and his approach to things. Like, that means you need to pick up the phone, you need to make a phone call, or I don't know, actually I'm saying that, but I don't know how you want them to connect with you. So like, tell people what they should do, because they already love you and they're like, okay, I need to get to know the sponsor.
Absolutely. Two things that I would tell you. First and foremost, here's my cell phone. It's right there on screen. You can pick that up and you can call me directly on my cell phone, 901-500-6191. Secondly, if you're watching this, obviously see on the background here, there's a checklist that I have on my website. Go to the website address, brickeninvestmentgroup.com. That's BRICKEN, investmentgroup.com/checklist. And this is a guide that you can download that will help you vet a deal in 10 minutes. I know I spent an incredible amount of time early on trying to figure out how to vet deals and figure out if they were good for me. I would spend hours poring over documents only to find out, no, I don't want to be a limited partner in this deal. Well, this will help you cut those hours of time out, especially early on, and figure out how to do it in 10 minutes or less. So look that up. And then, of course, like I said, you can find me right there, brickeninvestmentgroup.com.
Love it. Sam, super grateful for your time and just for who you are as a person in the investing space. We need more people like you. So thank you for being awesome.
Thank you, Julie. Appreciate you having me on.
Awesome. And to all of you amazing conscious investors, until next time, live big and love bigger. A lot of people missed out on my recent offering because they simply weren't on my investor list. Being on my newsletter list won't provide you with access to the deals I have. This is because 506B regulations require you and I actually discuss your investment goals before I can show you the deals I have. If you're on the fence about investing in apartments, schedule a call today at 3keysinvestments.com. If you think you're new, so you don't want to be on an investor list, you're missing out on opportunities to refine your ability